Hi, it's Ronnie, and welcome to Crystal Barrett's May I Scraplift You. So, for this month, everybody will be scrapbooking somebody. There is a list, but you don't have to go by the list. But Vanessa is on the list today, and this is the layout. I started to say sketch that I'm going to be lifting today. It is super cute, isn't it? I'm going to be using Echo Park. No, it's Cartabella. Sorry. I have it in Echo Park, but the exact same thing in Cartabella. And I'm showing that sheet there. It is Echo Park, but I fussy cut almost all that sheet out in the Cartabella. And it's Botanical Gardens. I think I got the Echo Park one on a warehouse sale as I purchased the Cartabella on a regular price somewhere a long time ago. I don't have much of it left. I cut some strips. There are like three uh, runners there on the layout, and so I picked three to run. And her photo's on the right hand side, but the girls in the picture, the twins, they are looking at each other and laughing. And since Reagan's the bigger of the two, I thought I would put her to the left hand side and hopefully balance out the way I feel like the layout should be balanced out. I use that Sizzix die for some grass, and I'm just going to tuck it under my strips there. Um, and I have to do some little uh, fussy cutting of the blades because some overlap others, and I don't want parts of a blade on there and not the rest. So I'm cutting it off so that it looks like a whole blade when I actually put it on the layout. That tray doesn't look like there's a whole lot in it. However, once I get it on the layout, it is going to look like more. I guess they're kind of layered on top of each other in the tray, whereas they're spread out a little more on the layout. I am using liquid glue just on the bottoms of these. I think I put it around the tips of a few of the leaves, but just a few. Most of it's just free, free, if I can talk, free flowing. Um, I made the one up the top short because my photo is bigger. Hers is landscape, so it didn't take up as much height. But since mine's vertical, I thought, well, I'm just going to make that top one shorter. And of course, hers are a little bit different from mine anyway. I like to look at the layout and then try to remember things from it instead of actually looking at the layout. Kind of like the telephone game, where you whisper and tell somebody something and then it goes on down the line and you only hear it once. And so when I play telephone game, I do the same thing, but I try to remember different things that it has so that I can repeat them. And there are flowers on her layout, so of course I wanted flowers. And her strips, she does have pink on her layout. And I was trying to find a picture that had pink, and this one don't have hardly any at all. It's got more of a lavender even, but it has a tiny bit. And the church had done a vintage photo shoot a long time ago. The girls were pretty small then. And at first, Reagan was just petrified, the only word for it. She just didn't know what was going on, getting clothes put on her that was not her clothes, and not having shoes on in a public place. There were several things that bothered her, but the photographer just let her sit there and talk, and before you know it, she was laughing, and so was Charlie. And she did a good job snapping that photo. And the rest of the photos went pretty good then. Now, if you notice me with that blade, I was cutting out little slots in the flower pot so I could tuck flowers down in them so it looked like they were actually growing out of the pot. And I will put it looks like a bucket on the top one that I don't do that to, but then I'll decide to go ahead and do it. And uh, it'll get pulled back up because of that. But it just takes a second to cut the spot out, and then the flowers, just tuck in pretty easily. Some of those flowers were pretty tiny to be fussy cutting, but I didn't want them super big. The bigger ones, well, some of the bigger ones I didn't even cut out, but I did cut a couple. And the bigger ones just looked so big on this little strip of paper that I figured I would just mostly go with the smaller ones. But I will use a few of the bigger ones, just not the biggest ones. This flower here, uh, it is one of close to the biggest. And I thought, well, I'm going to go ahead and cut the leaves off of it and put foam tape below the flower and then kind of tuck the leaves in underneath it to make it look more dimensional. If I had thought of that while I was fussy cutting, I would have done it then and cut them apart because it would have been a whole lot easier to fussy cut out. But no, I did not think of that. But I do think it looks good that way on the layout. But while I am adding flowers and moving things around here, I want to mention that down there below you'll find the playlist for everyone's videos. And of course, by the end of the month, there'll be plenty of them. But one click and you have lots of inspiration. I had a couple of flowers on that paper that was hanging off the page. And so I went ahead and cut them out. And I thought I'd put them on the bottom of the uh, strip there. Like I said, I only had a couple. I don't know why there wasn't more. There usually is, but I looked and there wasn't more. Um, that little sign that I just put up there, it says Happy Little Moments. And I hadn't planned to put it on the photo, but I didn't like it when I set it over there on the photo. It was just a bit too big. And I do have a little sticker that I'm going to put there. It says Together. And I'm almost going to forget it because I took it off the sticker sheet. Because, y'all, if you watch my videos, you know I forget all about the sticker sheet. And right off the bat, I put it on the tray. And I happened to think of it and I went ahead and pulled it off the tray. And then I'll remember while I'm putting it on there. I hadn't thought about the title. Where was I going to put it? But I do find a little spot for it to fit. But if I had been thinking about while I was putting stuff on there, it probably would have ended up somewhere else. It's a good thing it's only a 3-letter word. Um, I am tucking in flowers and putting them on the leaves too. I thought, I didn't think of that at first. And then there's some bumblebees. And yes, I cut those little tiny bumblebees out. And I cut 3 so I could put 1 in each of the clusters. But they look cute there. They're just really tiny. Almost all of the flowers on that page were kind of a peachy color. But there was a couple of yellow ones. I think maybe 3 I found on there. And so I made sure I put 1 of them in each of the clusters. Well, then again, maybe the middle one don't have. Let me look at my layout. Oh, it had them in the crate, so I didn't worry about putting 1 on there. But I knew I wasn't thinking about putting 1 on there. I couldn't remember it anyway. But yeah, I made the decision since I only found 2 to put them on the top one and the bottom one. And there is the cutest little hat that I put on the edge of the bottom strip. I love that hat. And then there's another hat that I put in the middle cluster, but I never did find one I wanted to cut out for the top one. It's a good thing though. It's pretty loaded down with stuff. I'm cutting a couple of flowers apart. I didn't want the whole big thing with 2 flowers so that I could add them in a couple of places that just needed 1 flower. And yeah, I'm cutting them apart. I'm leaving the peachy out, both of them have a darker pink, and I'm leaving the peachy color out since I already have so much on the layout. But I am getting pretty close to getting done. Y'all are probably thinking that tray's getting empty. She's going to have to be done soon. But yeah, I am getting close to getting done. And again, cutting on the flower just so that I only have the one instead of the two. And like I said, if I'd been thinking ahead on some of this stuff, I would have done it to start with. And it's a lot easier to fussy cut sometimes when you have leaves coming out if you don't have as much to cut around. I did remember to use my puffy stickers. I am going to put one on and take off. Maybe two. Yeah, maybe two. There's these little round ones that had bumblebees on it. And when I first seen the package of the puffy stickers, when I pulled it out of the envelope, I thought, oh, I can put them on there and they'll look really cute. But then I cut out the bumblebees and decided I didn't need both of them. And that joy, that's my title. And the little dot for the joy is like the tiniest little dot you ever seen. I was afraid I was going to lose it before I ever got it over to the word to put it on top of it. And I ended up having to use the piercing tool to be able to put it on there. But yeah, it looks way too small for that word. But it's on there. But that's it. That's my layout. And one thing I liked about Vanessa's layout, she likes more. She put more on her layout. And I thought, oh, great. Gives me a great chance to put more because, usually I like more too. So I was nestling all this stuff in there. Of course, it did take me quite a while to fussy cut all that stuff. But yeah, lots of fun once I actually got to put it on the layout. Not that I mind fussy cutting, I just watch something on the TV while I do it. And a few times I've clipped when I shouldn't have because I'd look up at the TV and my scissors would move. Yeah, that happens. Um, but there's the top cluster and the can where I went ahead and cut the little slot there and added that little yellow flower. And there's the completed layout. But I want to thank you all very much for watching my video. I appreciate that. And make sure you check the playlist down there below and see what everybody else has done for today's scrap lifts. I'm sure there'll be a huge variety. Like I said, Crystal has a list, so there'll probably be a lot doing scrap lists of Vanessa Bell. But since there's so many to choose from, there might not be anybody else with this one that got scrap lift. But have a happy, scrappy week. Have fun on the hop. Bye.